Email.
Yeah, we're on here.
Okay.
Yep, Juan Soto to the Mets. At least he didn't go to the Red Sox, which kind of helps me a little bit.
Dude, we already got a Juan Soto. His name is Rafael Devers.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yes, good to see people here. Hope everybody's good. Raiders have lost 9 in a row. Wow. And Juan Soto left my Yankees. How do you think my weekend was? Oh, and I flew to Boise to see UNLV lose. So, man, I'm on a bad streak, and that's why I don't gamble. You know, if I was gambling and betting on my teams to win, I'd be losing money. I don't like to lose money. One of the reasons I'm building this YouTube channel is to make money. It's not a hobby. I'm not here to, I wouldn't be talking on the YouTube. I want to get it to a point where it's big and we can make some money off of it. And then I can donate some of the money. We can do some cool things with it, you know? Yes, no Raider. Therapy. Surfer Bob, I'm still Team AP for what it's worth. You tank guys are losers. Mini monologue, yep, all that stuff. It's a busy day.
Your Fridays at 5 just got better with even more Raider content, interviews, and analysis on everything silver and black. So, Raider Nation, end your work week with upon further review. Fridays at 5 in the afternoon, right here on Raider Nation Radio.
All right, let's get this thing going. Anything you want to talk about in the chat or want me to get into, let me know. And we'll go from there. I'm going to the rodeo tomorrow, so I got to get a new rodeo shirt. That's going to be interesting. Any rodeo fans out there? What date is Christmas? Christmas is the 25th, but who are the Raiders playing that week? It's Carr on the 28th, I believe, right? And that's the topic as we're up live on YouTube at JT the Brick YT. If you'd like to see the veins in my head pop on YouTube, you can watch the next hour or 20 minutes here because I want to get this point off. I get more upset in life. I get more upset when guys leave my group, my team, than I do about wins and losses. Now, look, if you're going to lose the Tuck Rule or the Super Bowl, of course, that's a different category. But in general, sports radio was invented because you don't get the guys you want and you lose the players that you don't want to lose. Secret, that's all we do on sports radio. We used to look at box scores. We used to look, the guy was 2 for 4 with an RBI, or the guy pitched 9 innings. And we used to look at the box scores, watch the games, and look at the box score and evaluate the game. We don't do that anymore because of the TMZ-ification of sports. We gossip. We talk about divorce. We do analogies on divorce. Not me. I've never been divorced. I apologize. We go down these roads of everybody's personal life, but I get most pissed off when I lose someone I want to keep. That comes in my personal life with my friends. I'm lucky to have a lot of friends. And every once in a while, you have a friendship that frays for whatever reason. And that's something that would bother me more so than sports. In sports, what bothers me is when someone like Davante Adams commits to be on the Las Vegas Raiders. He made the commitment, and then he changes his mind and he quits on the team. That really bothers me. What bothers me is when Juan Soto plays right field for the Yankees and Yankee fans, 50,000, give him a standing ovation, and he's playing with Judge, and they're pouring champagne over their head because they won the American League Championship, and then he wants to leave. Ooh, that chaps me. Okay, so that's why this is such an important topic. And what I need to do now on this platform more than ever is engage our audience on general sports topics that you could have an opinion on if you're a Warriors fan, if you're a Kansas City Royals fan, whatever team that you like, the Philadelphia 76ers. My job is to take topics and try to make them broad. I'm a broadcaster. I'm not a narrowcaster. And when I look at losing Juan Soto, it didn't enrage me last night for one reason. I was just hitting the air when the news broke. So I had a free roll last night, Bobby. I didn't have to do a show. I did it. But I had 9 phone lines lit up. Everyone's talking about this deal. Very easy to do my job like that. Unlike coming up with a topic when a team loses 9 in a row. Fortunately, I got a lot of topics with the Raiders. They can get the number 1 pick in the draft. They got Brock Bowers. Unfortunately, Aiden O'Connell got hurt. That sucks. That's a topic. There's plenty to talk about. But I wanted to get into Soto because I wanted your opinion on exactly what is going on in your life as a sports fan. In any sport, when you lose someone that you enjoyed and you wanted that player to stay and they couldn't come to financial terms. Give me the player, the year, anyone in your life that this happened to you, because it happened to me last night. And it happened to my sons. My oldest son was really upset about it. He was like, I'm really upset. I'm like, well, he goes, no, we didn't win the World Series with Soto. We're not going to win it without him. I can tell you that. we didn't win the World Series with Juan Soto and Aaron Judge. Now the Yankees are supposed to win the World Series without Soto? Oh, good luck with that. I wasn't born yesterday. Now the Yankees can go out and get pitching and they can go do a bunch of other things. And usually one guy doesn't make the team. But I'll tell you, Bobby, that what really pissed me off about the whole deal is 5 years ago, Bryce Harper was available for $330 million. And I think he's kind of like a Mickey Mantle type player. Really, I'm comparing him to Mickey Mantle. Mickey Mantle is better, but Harper could have been a Mickey Mantle for 10 years at $330 million. Now Soto's $765, and he turns down the Yankees. And Juan Soto's getting all of his money, and Ohtani's getting it deferred. And I'll tie this to another topic in this big octopus of a topic. You're dead if you're a small market team. I knew that all the time. I'm a Yankee fan. I don't care about your team. I really don't. Let me make that point clear. I care about my team. But I understand what fans are going through. I interact with them. So how do you think you feel in Milwaukee today, or Tampa Bay, or Kansas City, or in Seattle, or some of these other markets that can't afford Juan Soto? They don't have the TV revenue split, the big number like it is in the NFL, but local television. I mean, do you understand that half of these cable companies locally, like NBC Sports, blank area, or Bally Sports, that are all going out of business because of this when I'm showing on our YouTube channel, The Phone? People are getting baseball highlights in 6 minutes. When I got to do a radio show, what I do is when I have to go on the air, I'm talking like in 10 minutes, I go to Yahoo Sports and I click on the game recap. And in 3 minutes, they give me the whole recap of the game. Home runs, RBIs, final out, and I'm all up to date with the team. I don't want to watch every inning. Same thing with the NFL. If you didn't have the opportunity to watch the Buffalo Bills lose to the Rams in a classic game where both teams scored over 40, just go to your phone and put in the search, Bills-Rams game. In 3 minutes, you'll get a recap of the entire game. That's how people are getting their information. They're getting in reels and cut-ups and YouTube, and they're getting them quickly. Remember, you used to wait around till 11 at night for SportsCenter? You'd have to wait till the top of the hour, and if you didn't get your team's highlights in, if you missed it, if you tuned in 11:07, you had to wait another hour to see your team's highlights. Not the case anymore. Not the case anymore at all. So with that storyline, I wasn't crushed about losing Juan Soto last night. But as a sports talk radio host, man, it's a big topic. It's really huge on 2 teams competing in the same market, going after one player, and one having an owner that will do whatever it takes to get the deal done. I'll tell you, it's got a lot of Mark Davis. You could laugh or disagree with me. I don't care. Mark Davis has never once in his tenureship as owner of the Raiders ever told anybody, no, we don't have the money to do that. Now, some of the decisions were wrong. Some of the players were wrong. Injuries, wrong coaches, wrong player. No doubt. We've chronicled every one of them. But it hasn't been because we have an owner in Vegas with the Raiders who is holding on to the money and doesn't want to spend. And he's in a salary cap era. Baseball isn't a salary cap era. So the owner, Steve Cohen of the Mets, is a mercenary. He basically told Soto's agent, Scott Boras, do whatever it takes to get the deal done, and do not come back to my office if we lose Soto. You're fired. Go get Soto. And they just overpaid for him. And that's what happens in life. I'm lucky I have a great wife, and my dad was a conservative government accountant. I don't overpay for anything. stocks, real estate, bonds, but I own them all. And I think I try to buy them at the right price. And if I don't, I'll learn the pain the hard way. But in baseball, it's out of control because baseball here now is just an arms race between the Dodgers, the Yankees, and now the Mets. And the Mets have done something the Yankees never did in over 130 years with the Yankees, less than that with the Mets. The Mets are officially today more relevant than the Yankees. Not historically. I didn't say that historically. That would be crazy. I'd get locked up, give me a straitjacket. But as of today, the Mets in New York said, we are the bigger team. We have the richer owner. We have the better player, and we'll do it again and again and again. It's a massive story in sports. And a lot of you probably feel left out, don't you? You feel like you don't have an owner like that. You don't have a team. You don't have someone who will do that for you. And it's nice when you do. Like if you're a Dodger fan now, Harry Ruiz will join us at the bottom of the hour. If you're a Dodger fan, you know that you're going to buy any player you want. Well, it's kind of cool if you're going to go get a Dodger dog and a beer and sit in the outfield, knowing you got Mookie Betts, knowing you got Ohtani, knowing you got Freddie Freeman. So that is a big, gigantic sports topic today. I hope that we are good enough to talk sports and the Juan Soto contract and how it affected you. Who is the one player in your life that you lost over money that you still haven't come to grips with? 702-365-9200. I sat in this radio studio and recommended buying the contracts of Baker Mayfield and Russell Wilson. I did. I don't disagree ever with ownership of the GM. I could have a different opinion, but not worth arguing about, not worth, making personal here. So I just want to make that clear. Russell Wilson was available for $1 million. It might go down. Now, he'd have to win the Super Bowl for this to happen, but they can win the Super Bowl. Pittsburgh's good enough to win the Super Bowl, definitely good enough to win the Super Bowl. It would be the greatest signing in the history of the NFL, 100 years. It'd be Russell Wilson. Keep that in mind. Not Brock Purdy. Not Josh Allen, Russell Wilson. He was available for nothing, $1 million. Devontae Adams gets $1 million a game. Baker Mayfield was available in the $30 million range. Raiders passed on him. I can understand why. The fit might not have looked right at the time. I disagree. I thought Baker Mayfield, but I'm more of a fan of Baker Mayfield than I am there. So the Raiders today are in a position where Rex Ryan said today on Get Up this morning that the Raiders got to get this number 1 pick. Now, we all know what Rex Ryan means. He's got a brother in the building, Rob Ryan, who I consider a friend and more than an acquaintance. And when it comes to this, for me, the Raiders have got to get this right. This is a massive moment in Raider history. Oakland, LA, Las Vegas Raider history. I don't know who's the best quarterback, and you don't either. Don't tell me you know Shador's better than Cam Ward. You don't. You don't. You're not a professional quarterback. You're not a scout. You don't know what Tom Brady and Tom Telesco know. Give them time. Give them time to figure it out. And it's going to take some time because you got to figure out mentally and physically what they can do. But no doubt, am I torn? I am torn because I don't want to lose. I work for the team. I want to win. You know that already. But I understand that the Raiders have got to get a quarterback now. Aiden O'Connell, we don't know. We fear has a season-ending injury, and we hope Aiden does well. It's so tough to watch a player get hurt and know the player a bit. We interviewed Rich Gannon this morning at 8:30 in the Raiders headquarters. You can just tell the look on Rich's face, a Raider MVP quarterback, when we were discussing the injury of Aiden O'Connell. You want to talk about a kid who had bad luck. Who's had more bad luck than that kid? The kid comes to this team drafted correctly. Give Josh McDaniels credit for that. He got the right guy. He got him later in the draft, 4th round pick, which is clearly his market value. I think Aiden probably would have been a good 2nd round late pick or early 3rd round. Neither here nor there. He's under salary protection. He's played a lot. He's good at times. He made a couple of mistakes. He has some ugly interceptions. He has. But he's a good player. He'll be on this team. He'll be on this team, and he's a good player. Man, that hurt watching him get injured yesterday. And the Raiders ended up losing a game, which was pretty much the entire game, 14-10. Raiders got the ball to start the second quarter, went on a 10-play drive, got right down to the red zone, threw an interception that Brock Bowers couldn't even defend. It was such a bad pass, and the game was over. What's fascinating about the Raider turnovers this year, they're beauties. They're beauties. The turnovers that this team has had this year are monumental. Patrick Surtain, 100 yards. Game over. Aiden O'Connell in Tampa, about to take the lead, outplaying Tampa Bay so much they were dominating them. Interception, game over. I mean, listen to me, over. On that play, game is over, no chance. So when this team turns the ball over, man, do they turn it over. No one's doing it on purpose. No one's trying to be tank. It's just, oh my God, did that just happen? Fumbles. Oh, the ball's out. Oh no. No, we're at the goal line. The ball came out. What do you mean? We're about to go in and score, beat Pittsburgh. Nope. Other way, game over. So as a Raider fan, I don't know when the turnover hits because the Raiders won the turnover battle in Tampa Bay 3-2. Right? The Raiders took the ball away. They finally recovered a fumble, buy a lottery ticket. But when you watch a Raider game and they turn it over, oh boy. When they turn it over, they're in every one of these games. That game was 14-0 before you turned the TV on. I'm over there. I turned the game on. I'm like, oh, wait, 14-0? Oh, I got to do a radio show on Monday. What happens if they don't show up? What happens if they don't play hard? Nope. 14-0. Max on the sidelines. Let's go. They pitch a shutout in the second and third quarter, and this offense can't do nothing. I mean, it's impossible for this offense to score points almost at times. They're trying, but they just don't have the horses to do it. Brock Bowers only got 5 targets in the game. Excuse me? What? Wait a second. 5 targets? We can do that in a drive. I could script 5 plays in the opening drive to Brock Bowers and get 3 of those targets in on the first drive and punt and go 3 and out. That was a failure. Love the way Sincere McCormick played. Love the way Trayvon Merrick played. Love the effort. I tell you that every Monday in the aftermath. Brought to you by Tito's Handmade Vodka. Have a Tito's over the holiday as we begin with Chris in West Oakland on a Monday. Hello, Chris.
Hey, JT, I'm going to be more brief on the Raiders because I'm all over this Soto topic. I'm kind of glad you're giving us something else to talk about. Look, about all there is to be said right now, you're right. This team showed up. Yeah, they got off to a slow start yesterday. They fought. They're in the game. You're down 14-0. They could have packed it in and just got blown out. They didn't do that. They fought hard. They did what they've done all year. This is what bad teams do. They make just enough mistakes to lose games. And judging Antonio Pierce going forward, I think the number one thing, he has to get these guys ready to play. It's easy to lose a locker room. It's easy to get professional athletes at this point that are getting paid to quit. I see no quit in this team whatsoever, but we'll talk more about quarterback and everything in the offseason. I don't do that a lot right now. You know my feeling. But let me move over to Soto real quick and the Yankees. Look, and to your question, JT, I think the one, first off, as an Oakland A's fan, I'm used to losing players for money. Hell, I've lost my franchise because of money. Got to probably go back to 2002 when we lost the Yankees because the A's refused to give him a no-trade clause over a 6-year, $100 million contract. And they didn't want to give him a no-trade clause when he was going to be a 10-5 guy after the first year anyway. That one really, really hurt. But as far as Soto goes, look, dude, you left the Yankees to go to the Mets for $5 million. There wasn't a $300 million gap. You chose to go to the Mets over $5 million. Congratulations, Juan. You're never going to be heard from again. You'll put up some numbers. You might make the playoffs here and there. You just left a marquee franchise in Major League Baseball to go to the ugly stepchild for $5 measly million. It was the difference between 765 and 760. So congratulations, Juan. You and your agent are mercenaries. You got the highest contract in history. We'll never hear from you again other than 5 or 10 years from now when they're going to be talking about how do we pay off the back end of this horribly overpriced contract. Thank you, my friend. I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, thank you, Chris. I appreciate it there. Ian Rappaport, breaking news. Aiden O'Connell suffered a bone bruise in his knee. The MRI confirmed this morning. Sources say, despite reports to the contrary, O'Connell has not been ruled out from Monday's game. Desmond Ridder finished the game for the Las Vegas Raiders at quarterback and would play if he can't go. So good news. Fresh update during the show as I started off my Juan Soto rant as we get going here. We're talking about players that you lost in your lifetime that you haven't been able to overcome. Hardcore Raider on the flagship. Go ahead.
Hey, JT. First of all, I want to say something about the tight end. So first of all, I'm going to disagree with you on Brock Bowers. Yeah, this guy's like a generational talent. He's a super stud. But we cannot become a one-dimensional offense no matter how terrible or lack thereof production in the quarterback. You know, for us to be able to get Michael Mayer involved, that's going to help us down the road to get Brock Bowers more targets because, Michael Mayer is a stud as well. So I like that we mixed it up because I think that's going to help us later on because other defenses are going to have to be like, well, we got to also focus on Michael Mayer. So even though it may not pay dividends this game, I think it's going to pay dividends for Bowers later on. So I like that part to mix it up. As far as the contract, kind of what you're going through, I feel the same way. But if we go back to Oakland, there was at times where Raiders may not have the money to pay players.
Mm-hmm.
We go back to the Khalil Mack trade, and I don't know if Raiders had money, didn't have money, whatever. At this point, that part doesn't matter. But the reality is that from us trading Khalil Mack, we got Josh Jacobs. That was that draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
And Josh Jacobs, he ended up balling out. He was great at pass protection, had a Raider tattoo, gave the Raiders everything he had. I would argue that Josh Jacobs helps the Raiders win more games than a Khalil Mack. Other people may not agree on that and whatnot, but I say that because for Josh Jacobs to be sitting in his car with the previous regime and we never offer him a contract, okay, and then we go into the next year. Yeah, he's upset, obviously. I mean, he was like one of the faces of the franchise and leaders of the offense. So we go into that year, and he held out for obvious reasons. Everybody's saying they don't want to pay running backs and all this nonsense. And then we go into this year with a new general manager who doesn't offer Josh Jacobs a contract or a minimal contract. And we go into this year, and we're wondering why we can't run the ball. And, everybody will be like, well,
they couldn't run the ball. They couldn't run the ball with Josh last year when he was healthy. The offensive line was one of the weakest offensive lines in football with Josh Jacobs. I agree with you. It was a mistake not to bring back Josh Jacobs. I agree with you, but don't act like Josh Jacobs would be having a season here like he's having with the Green Bay Packers. It's not even close.
He broke the record. We broke the offensive rushing record with a power man blocking scheme, and we switched to a zone scheme.
They have better players. They have better players. They do.
They made a bad decision by switching us to a zone blocking scheme, and we all seen it. And they made another bad decision going into this year. I'm sorry.
That's fair.
That's where I stand.
I'm not butting heads with you. You have an opinion, and I appreciate your opinion. I think losing Josh Jacobs was a mistake. I understood why they lost Khalil Mack. They didn't have $960 million cash and guaranteed money to pay him. They didn't want to go do that. And they made a financial decision. I said on the air then, Khalil was a friend of mine. I thought that was a mistake too. In hindsight, getting Devontae Adams was a mistake for a 1 and a 2. At the time, I thought getting Devontae for a 1 and a 2 was beautiful because it made sense. You only see these deals down the road. You don't see them the day they are. Some guys do. Some guys can guess and throw a dart and get it right. But when you're wrong, you're wrong. There's been a lot of mistakes made around here with personnel. And now we'll come into an offseason with the most important. You haven't heard me say that in year 1 here. You didn't hear me say that in year 3. I'm telling you now, this offseason is the most important offseason in modern Raiders history. What is modern history? I'll go 30 years. I'll go 25 if you want to go. This draft coming up and free agency is really important. We're brought to you by the 872 Laborers here in Nevada.
It's the morning tailgate.
Defensively, you had all.
Yeah, thanks, everyone. I guess the internet connection lost, and I didn't see anybody. Then it came back, so appreciate that. Let me take a call before Harry. Give you a Canes here. Woo!
Antonio, you're in Modesto? Okay, so the number 2.
Morning tailgate. Weekdays at 7 a.m. on Raider Nation Radio, 920 a.m.
This is JT from Maldi's New York style coal-fired
Let's
brick oven
see.
pizza. 4 locations in the
How
Valley,
we have you
Summerlin,
read
and
up?
Boca Park, on the Strip at the Palazzo, Southwest Las Vegas on Rainbow,
All right,
and Green
take the
Valley
first
on
call, and then I'll go
Eastern
get,
Avenue. Maldi's, the best
Harry.
pizza I've ever
Okay.
had.
You want
What's that, on 1? Just, yep, on 1. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Juan Soto coming back to
This is
Raiders.
JT from
Well, Juan Soto.
home of football's most notorious fans. If you're a diehard Raider fan, this is your home. Become a member today and receive 20% off online purchases.
Yeah, so what's happening? They're playing the Woodson Bourbon Whiskey too much. Am I catching heat for that on the app? That they're playing Woodson Bourbon Whiskey too much? Someone needs to tell Woodson Bourbon Whiskey that they're playing my commercials too much, because they'd be thrilled to hear that. So I don't know what to tell you to do. Yeah, I got to get to Barry Odom in a minute here. Just win Wendy. Yeah. Yeah, Aiden, look, it's a bone bruise. See what our Raider insiders say. Vinny, let's go to Vinny Bonsignor. Vinny.
Marijuana can affect your ability to care for your baby or someone else's baby.
Oh, Vinny's just tweeting on his Mets and Juan Soto.
If you are pregnant or a new mother using marijuana,
Let's see what Paul Gutierrez says. Paul G. Still waiting results of Aiden O'Connell's, but if no O'Connell, Desmond Ritter would take over. And then Deshaun Reed and Vic Tafer, two really good insiders. Deshaun, Vic says it's true. Don't count O'Connell out just yet. Yep. So Monday's my long day. Monday I head over to Wynn Resort for the 4 to 7 show, which will be kind of cool tonight because it'll be a Juan Soto show.
Starting at 5:30. Dust off those boots and enjoy live music every night inside Gilly's Saloon. And come take pictures.
Gilly's Saloon.
The NFR Bull Riders. Treasure Island is your NFR headquarters.
Oh.
All the fun and excitement of the
Yep, I'm going to the radio tomorrow night. I need a new rodeo drip, so I'll work on that
You going
tomorrow.
tomorrow night?
Yep.
My girlfriend's going tomorrow night.
Oh.
Hey, Harry, how you doing? Good, man. Thumbs at work. I'll get that for a minute, okay?
I wanted to take a call before you called them, but forget it.
No. Take the call.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's good. I got the Alameda
Okay.
shit already up.
All right.
Soto coming back.
How would you like T. Higgins as a free agent receiver? I'm seeing him. He's in the Simpsons Fun Day football game tonight on Disney.
Let's truly enjoy this Christmas. Life is too short. Spoil your loved ones. Spoil yourself.
Where's Thor, man? Raider Nation Drinking Club, man. I haven't seen Thor in a while. Can't get right. Is that Thor? Can't get right? Is that Thor?
Joe's Seafood, prime steak and stone crab, your destination dining in Las Vegas. The perfect lunch, after-work cocktail, and dinner, where you'll find the best in steaks, seafood, and the legendary Florida stone crab claws. Joe's Seafood, prime steaks and stone crab, inside Caesar's Forum Shops. Do you know the most important factor in your company's success? It's your people. They're the heart of your business. So how do you...
All right.
Insperity can help. From recruiting and onboarding to employee development and retention, we'll help you build a stronger, more resilient organization. See the difference the right approach to human resources can make. Because
Yeah, I think T. Higgins would be a pretty good receiver.
at insperity.com/HR matters.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show. Brought to you by PT's, the best happy hour in town, 5 to 7 p.m. and midnight to 2 a.m.
And he swings and drives it deep into right field, and it is gone! A home run onto the porch! A laser shot off the bat of Juan Soto!
Juan Soto goes from the Yankees to the Mets for the largest contract in sports. We're in sports for a business. That's the big topic today. That's by far the biggest topic in sports, and he's going to stay in New York. He'll play at Citi Field instead of the Bronx and Yankee Stadium, and the Mets will have an opportunity every year to win the World Series with him, just like the Dodgers have a chance every year with Ohtani and Mookie Betts, and the Yankees do with Judge. If you have one of the best players in baseball, it gives you a chance. Look at the Astros in their run. They had multiple good players. None of them paid at the level of Ohtani and Soto. You don't have to spend this type of money. Remember Mike Trout got $435 million? Thought he was a much better player than Soto. Not even close. Much better. He didn't get it. Harry Ruiz in a moment. Jesse and Alameda. Let me get you up before Harry. Go ahead, Jess.
Hello. the biggest player for me,
Mm.
this has to do with the A's, when they lost Marcus Semien, when they wouldn't give him a fair contract, and then we lost him to, I believe it was Texas. To go on to the Raiders,
Mhm.
fans have really been disappointing me lately. Like yesterday when I was watching the coach's press conference on YouTube,
Mhm.
I found it really upsetting when I saw about a bunch of fans saying, like, I told you so about Aiden O'Connell. This guy's not the guy right after he gets injured. That upsets me as a fan because I support our quarterbacks, whether they're doing good or bad.
Mhm.
And even down to our owner telling him to sell the team. And I'm like, I don't see any reason why he should. He cares about this team. He spends the money that he should. He cares about us fans. I don't understand. For the A's, I do understand that because our owner doesn't care about the fans and only cares about money.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying there. Thanks for the call. Fans get very emotional, and I'm a judge of fans. I am. I judge fans and their behavior, and I'm not perfect, and I've been a knucklehead my whole life. But Raider fans are really hard on Raiders coaches and personnel on Raiders social media. And again, I wouldn't do that, a fan for any team. I wouldn't go on the Yankees Twitter page and mock them as a Yankee fan. Now, if you want to quit being a Yankee fan and go there and do it, or Raider fan, go ahead and do it. But, people are highly emotional now. You're on a 9-game losing streak. It's hard to judge anybody. It's hard to judge everybody now on a losing streak. Harry Ruiz is not on a losing streak. He's a winner in life. He's the voice of USC and the Raiders on the Spanish side. Harry, let's start off with USC getting into the Las Vegas Bowl against Texas A&M, so you don't have to travel. You won the lottery ticket with John Sassenti in the Las Vegas Bowl.
I walk my dog, JT. I get to see the stadium less than 2 miles away from home, so it's going to be an easy drive instead of having to drive out to LA or having to fly out to El Paso. Any other options? I got to go right down the street, so I start and finish the season at Allegiant Stadium with USC. So I'm going to be able to be down on the field, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'll be great. Just quickly on the college football playoff, anything jump out at you? Because the teams that ended up getting the bye week, the teams that won their conference, Oregon's road looks brutal right out of the gate. And I thought SMU deserved to get in over Alabama. How'd you see it?
Oh, I mean, Alabama's AD complaining about the strength of schedule and about the out-of-conference games and everything. Look at his record. He lost 3 conference games, including 2 against teams that had a negative record in the SEC. That shows you what is going down over there. You lost to Vanderbilt and to Oklahoma, who, yes, ended up with 6-6 and are bowl eligible, but didn't win more than half of their conference games. So it's hilarious for me that Alabama, if they got a 4-team playoff, they're complaining if they're in and they get in. Now it's a 12-team playoff. Yeah. They lost 3 games and they're still complaining they're not in. I think the committee got it right. SMU, yes, the ACC isn't as strong as the SEC, but hey, they won the games that they were in. They lost by a field goal against Clemson in the conference championship games. I think it's just going to be fun, entertaining, but at the end of the day, I still think it's going to be somewhere around the top 4. Those are the teams in the championship game, and nobody from 5 below is going to have a chance to win it all.
Harry Ruiz is our guest. Before we get to the Raiders, Juan Soto didn't go to your Dodgers, left my Yankees. Mets play in the National League, and I thought the Mets pushed the Dodgers really far in the playoffs. That was a good matchup.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I mean, if you look at the World Series, JT, Juan Soto was the one that gave the Dodgers fits throughout the World Series. No other player was as menacing as when Juan Soto was up at bat. When I was out there in Game 2, he was the one that hit the home run to tie the game early in the game. So I feel like it's a great get for the Mets, and the best part for him is, yes, $765 million, but it's a 15-year contract. He's going to be making $51 million a year, and he has an opt-out after 5 years. So that means he can be a free agent at age 30. And if he gets an opportunity to be a free agent at age 30 again, and he's playing at a high level, man, he can make even more money coming up. So no deferred money, unlike Shohei Ohtani, who's making $2 million a year with the Dodgers until his contract is over, and then everything is going to be paid after that. I think Juan Soto hit the lottery, and yes, a mercenary. He's going to wherever the big money's at. I'd be the same way, JT, if I had those skills in baseball.
Yeah, we had Harry Ruiz. He'd be a mercenary. He'd go for the money, and they'd give it to him. Harry, what about the Raider loss? It was a 14-10 game most of the way. I'm not into close losses. A loss is a loss. But they shut out the Buccaneers in the second and third quarter, and they were down 14-0. They got it to 14-10. It's just a shame they can't sustain any quality football on offense for long periods of time. This team just can't score over 20 points a game. 2 touchdowns is almost impossible. And Aiden got him down there in the red zone before that interception to Bauer, and that's when the game shut down and they lost. How'd you see it?
I mean, JT, you got to give a standing ovation. I did it in our booth for our defense with that game that they played, because it was 6 consecutive drives where they didn't allow points from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But the offense in that span, they got into the red zone 3 times, and they were only able to get 1 touchdown, 1 field goal, and an interception. And it's like, come on, man, you got to be able to do better. That drive right there at the start of the third quarter, 16 plays, 61 yards. They took over 10 minutes off the clock on 1st and goal. I don't know what Aiden was seeing in that play. He just tried to force the ball to Brock Bowers, which he hadn't done during the first half of the game, and it's an interception. And it's like, this offense, it finds ways to move the ball, but not to get in the end zone. You need to move the sticks and get 6, not move the sticks and lose the ball or kick field goals. And the Raiders, just offensively, it seems like one game against Kansas City, Aiden O'Connell throws for over 300 yards and looks spectacular with his best game as a professional. And then the next game, the offense can barely get 100 yards in the first half. So there needs to be something done there. But the defense, they made this game one where at the end of the first quarter, I thought it was going to be a blowout, to one that was entertaining all the way throughout the game until the fourth quarter when Tampa Bay took a 2-score lead.
Yeah, Harry Ruiz, as we wrap it up. So, Harry, it comes into Monday night. If Aiden can go, he'll go. We'll wait for the Raiders to give us an update on his status. I would assume we're not going to see him practice much this week, coming off the severity of that injury. Desmond Ridder would be up next. And Atlanta's coming in. This is an elimination game for them because they trail now the Buccaneers as the Buccaneers beat the Raiders and Atlanta lost badly again. They have to run the table, Atlanta, most likely to win the division. So we're going to see a team come into Allegiant Stadium desperate for a W. So the Raiders got a big challenge in front of them.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins has been struggling over the last 4 games. You look at his stats, and it's something that you see that they're in trouble. He hasn't thrown a touchdown pass in the last 4 games. He's thrown 8 interceptions in that span, and it's no surprise that Atlanta has an 0-4 record in those 4 games. So this is a huge game for Atlanta, but at the same time, Brock Bowers was speaking about it in the locker room yesterday. This team is playing for pride. These Raiders are playing for pride. They're playing for them to be able to have something happy. And yes, he broke the record, and he got up to 87 receptions as a rookie tight end, which is a record for his position group. But he's not playing for records. He wants to win games. Look at him in Georgia. Those 3 years at Georgia that he was at with the Bulldogs, he won 2 national championships, and he was in the SEC championship the 3rd year. He is used to winning not only games, but winning championships. So I'm pretty sure he has lost more games in this season with the Raiders than in his collegiate career. So he wants to win games, and hopefully the Raiders figure out a way to do it. I mean, I know that 5 targets seems low, but I'm happy that they were able to get Michael Mayer going. He had no more than 2 receptions or 11 yards in the game since he came back from the IR. He had a big game yesterday. Now, hopefully, he gets to be added as another weapon in the game plan.
Yeah, and Brock Bowers, he doesn't want to make a habit out of losing. You nailed that. His winning pedigree coming out of Georgia is fabulous. He's the most decorated tight end of all time with 2 national championships and 2 Mackey Awards. You don't want that locker room to be losing because you don't want him to have to experience that. You nailed it. Harry, all the best. Always appreciate talking to you every week. Thank you, sir.
Of course, JT, take care. Bobby, you the man as well.
All right, there he is, Harry Ruiz. Check out all his content, which is also at Raiders.com. Yeah, the Raiders aren't going to win many games because they've only won 2. We're not looking at the Raiders running the table here, but we're expecting the Raiders to come out and play hard the rest of the way, which they've done. So take it for what it is. If you like that, go to the game, root your team on. Hopefully they're entertaining. It's exciting. There's a couple of big plays in the game. You get to see Max Crosby. You get to watch some good, talented players on the other team. You watch a spirited competition. But I know where a lot of Raider fans stand as we head into the end of the year. Stevie G in Oakland, the town, Oaktown.
You got it. How you doing, JT?
Good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Hey, three things. One is Brock Bowers for a young guy, a rookie. I mean, just he's just savvy beyond his years.
Mm-hmm.
Like just the fact that he's broken these records, but then he says it on the field. I think he said it in an interview a couple of weeks ago or something that, I haven't gotten the balls, like I suck. Like in other words, he has a standard beyond the standard, and he's holding himself to that standard. And I just hope that rubs off on the rest of the offense as things continue for the rest of the year. In terms of what you mentioned about a big transaction or somebody we weren't able to keep, I'm not even thinking about a player. I'm going to talk about John Gruden, version 1. I was literally at the game. I lived in Massachusetts. I was at the Tuck Rule game. And coming home that night, my father calls me to tell me that John Gruden's gone from the Raiders. And it was just devastating. Not just the loss of the Tuck Rule, but then you add, and that changed, in my opinion, the franchise going forward. I'm not sure it's really, really recovered since that time. And everyone knew that was John Gruden, the young hotshot coach, who was as brilliant as anybody at that time and knew was going to win the Super Bowl at some point. And it just wasn't with us. So that was that piece. And then I'm glad you said something about what you said about Aiden O'Connell. I'm glad I'm hearing about a bone bruise. I thought it was something much worse. So very happy for him. I'm actually hoping they kind of rest him this week so he really recovers, so he can protect himself. And then, let's see what happens. But I actually think that this offensive, coaching change with Scott Turner and his father there, I think that's better aligned to the system for Aiden O'Connell. And then hopefully with that, and I actually hope he stays, if this organization stays the way it is, I hope he's retained as the offensive coordinator and they kind of stay with that. And if they do, then I feel much better if they're looking and they find a quarterback in the draft. But I like what they're doing with Aiden O'Connell. I just wish that he were able to stay healthier, to really get a chance to have a long run like he did last year.
Thanks for the call.
Anyway, thanks a lot,
yeah,
JT.
really good phone call, really in depth on all that. And there's no doubt Scott Turner's auditioning for the job. And I think overall they've done a pretty good job up until this past week. I was not impressed with the offense much. I like the fact that Sincere ran hard. Aiden got hurt in the game. I thought the limited targets to Brock Bowers was concerning. They got Michael Mayer going. Maybe the happiest I was all game was when they took a deep shot on the first play of the game to Trey Tucker. I'm consistent. I told you I've wanted that for a while. We're brought to you on the aftermath, the recap of the Raider game, by Raising Cane's Chicken Fingers. One Love. You can get the box combo, the Caniac combo, the 3-finger combos, the sandwich combo, the kids combo. It's unbelievable for tailgates. And how about the lemonade, the iced tea, the buttery Texas toast? Enter the world of Canes. Go to raisingcanes.com. And during the holiday, the Raisin a Little Cane. Oh, look, they got the Raisin a Little Cane with the limited edition holiday plush puppy. You got kids are going to love that. Right next door, you can find it all at raisingcanes.com. When we come back, more on the Soto deal and what it means for the Mets compared to the Yankees in the National League, and we'll continue with the aftermath of the Raider loss. The Raiders loss, what was your one big takeaway? Why are you tuning into the games? What are you passionate about? What do you want to see? We got 4 games left. Want to hear from fans on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, because we're not a podcast now. We're live on the radio connecting to the powerful nation. There's only one nation, the Raider Nation, brought to you by the Black Hole. All right, I got to get a drink of water. 1 second. Chat amongst yourself. Yeah, valuable reps for young players, Isaiah, is what I'm into. Yeah, we did. That Super Bowl pick was bad. What's that?
This is a double break.
Oh, it's a double break? Okay. All right, we're off for a little bit right here, man. I'm going to do another monologue. I got Sam Munson on. Give me a second to get a glass of water. I'll spend most of this break here in the chat, so stick around. I'll be right back. Give me about 2 minutes.
Step into the future of sports betting. Experience mega wall-to-wall screens, massive stadium seating, seating for the epic game day experience. Get food delivered right to your seat for the ultimate fan VIP treatment. Each week, join us for exclusive course swag giveaways, staycations, dining certificates, and more. Your Sunday home is inside the sportsbook at the Suncoast.
This season, Chevy brings classic pairings, cookies and milk, mistletoe and kisses, and your holiday plans and a new Chevy. Silverado 1500 gives you power and capability with 430 pound-feet of torque to haul your holiday tree. Equinox EV and the all-new Equinox offer award-winning quality and style to see you through the holiday season. See why Chevy makes everything better and brighter. See your Southern Nevada Chevy dealers.
Modelo is an official cerveza of the Las Vegas Raiders and the JT the Brick Show. Modelo Especial is the model Mexican lager. Everyone knows that hard work deserves a fitting reward. A Pilsner-style lager with a crisp, clean taste.
You know, a lot of lawyers who advertise here don't even live here. If they say Nevada, they're not from around here. If they think our capital is Las Vegas, they're not from around here. I'm Richard Harris, and I am from Nevada. I grew up here. I went to school here. I raised my family here. No one knows Nevada like we do. If you've been injured, call me, Richard Harris, of the Richard Harris Law Firm, 444-4444, just in case.
Sign up today for a new William Hill Nevada mobile sports account, and you can earn a $50 bonus bet on top of your original $50 or more deposit and wager. The William Hill Nevada mobile sports app allows you to bet on the go from any iPhone, iPad, or Android device from anywhere in Nevada. Sign up today.
All right, we got 87 people here. Let's hit the like button. Smash the like button. I'm going to do it. Does it work for me? No, it doesn't work for me because I'm the administrator. Yellow Dog Adventures. Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate everybody sharing this platform and getting everybody involved, man. Appreciate that. Yeah, I'm going to talk about the UNLV coach leaving for Purdue. I would never leave Las Vegas for West Lafayette. For me, a lot of life is about where you live and who you hang out with. So he doubled his money, which is good, but I think UNLV would have gave more money if he stuck around, but can't believe UNLV can't compete with Purdue. And don't tell me Big Ten versus Mountain West. I get it. UNLV is supposed to have better resources in Vegas. I could care whatever conference they played for, the Puppy Conference, Mountain West. And UNLV needs someone to get them in a better conference, man. They had an opportunity to go to the Big 12. Arizona State did. Other teams did. I think that was a mistake. No doubt. Yes, I'm going to the rodeo tomorrow night. Rodeo, which I went last year, man, and it was pretty intense.
This is JT for Grimaldi's New York style coal fire brick oven pizza that you crave. 4 locations here in the Valley.
Just win, baby. Yes, we know that. A cigar by the pool. I did have one this weekend. I got radio voice. Valuable. Can't blow that voice up. Yeah, the boys haven't had a cigar party in a while. They were enjoying themselves a little bit more last year. Yeah, I don't think that NBA arena is going to work by the Sahara. I thought that's always been fake. I think the best chance is for that NBA arena to go by the Rio. And I think there's a much better ownership group involved than that. I like Sincere McCormick. I think he's playing hard. Oh, I'm tired today, man. My Mondays are long. I am tired. I need to get on the Peloton more. Trying to tighten it up a bit. A little Peloton. Not eating as late. Trying, man. Yeah, the Giants' remaining schedule: Ravens, Falcons, Colts, and Eagles. And they might get the number 1 pick.
Your moment is out there. Find it at discovertheforest.org. That's discovertheforest.org.
Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Gambler's bonus hits again. On August 27th, Mark hit 4 threes, clearing his Gambler's bonus for
Colorado is nice. The juice.
$1,000. Mark hit big and So can you with Gambler's Bonus. It's why you play the game.
Watch Thursday Night Football at Chickies and Pete's inside the all-new Sahara, Las Vegas, where it's always free parking. Hey, join me, Clay Baker, from the morning till for all the action and the best food and drinks you can find for the LA Rams
Chickies and
in San
Pete's.
Francisco. This holiday season,
It's cold out, windy, right?
Raising Cane's holiday party with tailgates of chicken fingers and Texas.
Is there a Golden Knights game on tonight, Bobby?
No, they're off until Thursday.
Thursday.
Yep. Celtics are off until Thursday, too.
My Knicks are in Vegas for the NBA Cup. That's a topic. I have no interest in that bullshit NBA Cup, none. But I have interest in my Knicks playing in Vegas. So if they won the NBA Cup, I could give a shit. I don't care about the NBA Cup, but I care about seeing NBA games in Vegas. Oh, didn't check my Facebook birthdays today. I hate doing that till later in the day. Do you do the Facebook birthdays, Bobby, every day?
Oh, yeah. The one I got today is my very first PD at my college station.
That's MRideLV.com, promo code BRICK. We're sharing more.
Man, we were in a long break here, man. You got a lot of sponsors, man.
Yeah.
By the end of this year, Subaru and its retailers, like Subaru of Las Vegas, will have donated nearly $320
So once I get up, I'll go get
to
mine.
charity.
Yeah. I could take a nap right now and sleep for an hour, man. Woo! Yeah, I took a private jet up to Boise for the Boise UNLV game. I jumped on a jet with a friend. That was freaking cool. Got to thank them on the air now.
Prime Steak and Stone Crab, the legendary seafood restaurant of Miami Beach, is right on the strip to bring you a true dining destination. Serving USDA prime steaks, quality seafood, and world-famous Florida stone crab claws defined by a standard of hospitality for over a century. Inside the forums at Caesars, Joe's offers guests an experience that is perfect for lunch, after-work cocktails, social gatherings, to late-night dining. From private, semi-private dining for both intimate and large party gatherings. Calling all hockey fans. Watch the puck drop at Nighttime Hockey Bar at M Resort, featuring a full menu, private booths.
All right, let's do hour number 2 here. Sam Munson, you're going to call him?
All on tap. Ice.
We're going to get you up and running.
Yep.
Brews. A natural hat trick. Nighttime Hockey Bar at M Resort. M Resort, the official team headquarters hotel of the Henderson Silver Knights.
All right.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why, when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Granger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call thegranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Every year, millions of children are taken from their homes and forced into the darkness of trafficking. They lose their innocence, their freedom, and sometimes their lives. This nightmare is happening right here in our communities to children of all ages. But there is hope. Support
I don't keep a private jet, but I got a ride on one. That was damn cool. Yellow Dog.
with the goal of creating healing after care. Visit agaperescueschildren.org to learn how you can donate and join the fight. That's AGAPE rescueschildren.org. Raider Nation has found its new home for daily Raiders content. This is Raider Nation Radio 920 AM, part of the Las Vegas Sports Network, KRLV Las Vegas.
Welcome back to the JT the Brick Show, brought to you by Modelo Especial, the new #1 beer in the U.S.
It's the JT the Brick Show, broadcasting live from the Finley Cadillac Performance Studio.
Raiders bring a blitz. He takes up off the middle, and he's wrapped up from behind. Max Crosby.
Your silver and black home to sound off for over 25 years.
Open at the 35, racing to the 20, 10, touchdown Raiders.
And now, here's JT the Brick.
Hour number 2 of the broadcast, JT, brought to you by La Casa Cigars in Tivoli Village. What a great partnership we have with them. I love my cigars at La Casa, outside, inside. You get private lockers. They feature all the brands that we pour on this show. live entertainment 7 nights a week. Head on out to La Casa. They got it beautifully decorated for the holidays, outside, inside of Tivoli Village. Mike and the crew do a great job, and we also appreciate that they carry Remy Martin, and we team up for excellence with Remy Martin. Their cognac is the most world-famous cognac in the world. Remy Martin, proud partner of the show. Make a cocktail with Remy Martin and team up for excellence. So the Raiders lose 9 in a row. Whoa, 9 in a row. Weren't we 2-2? 2-2 was supposed to be 3-3, 4-5, 5-5, 6-7, 7-8, maybe 8-8. I didn't think this was a playoff team this year with some of the talent, but I was hoping, and look what happened here. So this is a streak that we want to see come to an end eventually. Don't know when it will because the schedule doesn't get much easier, even though Jacksonville's on that schedule. Sam Munson joins us every week from the 33rd team. Check the Mike, the great podcast. Sam, I'll start with Buffalo. Josh Allen had one of the greatest games you've ever covered and broken down in a podcast with 3 in the air, 3 on the ground. But the decisions by McDermott, the timeout late, walk me through the end of that game and how they might have flubbed it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a split-second call, I think. Tom Brady was covering this a lot. He was the cover guy doing that announcement. You know, they made the decision to go with what they called their best play, which is Josh Allen on a sneak from the 1-yard line. But the second they didn't get it, that was when they were in trouble. They needed to figure out some way of either rushing to the line, spiking the ball, doing anything other than giving up a timeout. Because as soon as you call a timeout, now you basically have to get the onside kick. You're not going to get the ball back by calling timeouts, by being able to stop the clock because you've only got 2 of them instead of 3. So I think that was the decision. Going for it, rushing the ball with Josh Allen. You know, there's an argument that that's the play to make. It is probably their best play in short yardage, but as soon as they didn't get it, they needed to have a plan other than waste a timeout.
For Buffalo, it feels like, and it's not guaranteed, but it feels like they lost home field throughout with Kansas City's doink against the Chargers going through and Buffalo losing. I think that's enough of a distance now. I don't think Buffalo can track down the Chiefs. How do you see it?
Yeah, definitely likely. I think Buffalo's run-in is easier, even though they face the Lions. The Chiefs have a couple more tough games than Buffalo, but they're now effectively 2 games back, so it would take most of them swinging against them in order for them to swap places. So, yeah, a huge, costly loss for Buffalo and a swing in that number 1 seed standing.
Sam Munson's our guest. So with Aaron Rodgers throwing for 339, did you look at that as an audition? Because it doesn't seem like Woody Johnson wants him back. Maybe he does. Aaron Rodgers isn't done yet. He's not going to retire this way. Did you see anything redeemable for Aaron Rodgers in that loss to the Dolphins?
I think Rodgers can still play.
So do I.
But it's going to be a decision, I think, that's kind of taken out of his hands. He's in this tough spot where, a lot of these guys do not get to dictate their exit terms in the NFL. The NFL decides when it's done with you, not when you're done with the NFL, mostly. So I just don't know how many landing spots there are going to be for Rodgers, even if he wants to come back, even if he can still play. You're just running out of teams that are willing to, open that door for a short-term deal and are that desperate for quarterback. Maybe one of the teams that doesn't get one in the draft this year, but it's a pretty short list of teams.
Sam Munson joins us. I want to get to the Dolphins. Where do you stand on the Dolphins aren't tough enough for the cold weather? These guys play football. A lot of them coming out of the SEC or out west, and they don't play a lot of winter football unless you go to Buffalo, unless you play in New England. So a lot of teams around football are put together with football players who didn't play a lot of NFL quality college football in the cold, but it's becoming something that the Dolphins can't shake, even though they're 1 game under 500.
Yeah, and I think it's probably connected to the fact that they don't beat really good teams either. They beat up on bad teams. They don't beat the best teams. And those 2 things are probably linked because they tend to be facing the better teams in the cold weather because that's the sharp end of the season. If they make it to the postseason, that's where the good teams lie. So it's probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. They have talented players. They've got, the the bones is there for them to be a good team, whether it's cold weather, whether it's warm weather, but they're not going to, dissuade that narrative until they're able to actually show up and beat one of those teams.
Sam, I know you break down every throw at Sam Darnold, especially the touchdowns. The Falcons look like they're flailing here at the end of the year. How great was that Sam Darnold game? I didn't watch the entire game, but I watched the cut-ups and highlights there. Some of the tough throws that he made, he's completely in rhythm here, and I think the Vikings have a big decision to make with him.
Yeah, he was very good, and he's been consistently very good for the majority of this season. He's had a blip here or there, but he's really been outstanding for the Vikings. And that was a game where, Atlanta generally has got one of the worst pass rushes in the NFL, but not this week. I mean, they showed up. They got after Sam Darnold. They put him under pressure, and he was still able to make some of his best plays while under duress or while maneuvering in the pocket and, ad-libbing on the fly. So that was an incredibly impressive Darnold performance. I think it's slowly putting him into the MVP conversation. And you're right, we're not that far away from Darnold's, being a real difficult player to move on from if you're Minnesota. It's going to be difficult to pass the torch over to J.J. McCarthy without knowing exactly what he is if Darnold continues this amazing run.
I don't know Derek Carr, and I should because I covered his career 9 years with the Raiders. I don't know his contract status long-term, if the Saints can get out of it and move on. Have they seen enough with Derek now with the season-ending hand injury, as it looks like, that they know they're only going to go so far? His ceiling is so high, or they'll bring him back. What's the future of Carr in New Orleans?
Yeah, I think they're probably going to look to try and move on. He's got injury guarantees if he can't pass the physical, so I think they're probably going to shut him down at some stage and try and aim for that. But if no other reason, I think this roster for the first time in a long time is going to need to be fairly significantly rebooted. They've been kicking the money down the road for years. They've been playing this kind of credit card style of salary cap. I think finally the bill has come due essentially, and they're going to have to change the way they approach the salary cap. And that makes sense to try and go with a clean split from a guy like Derek Carr and move in a different, cheaper direction.
Sam Munson joins us. I haven't dove into your podcast yet, and I'll catch up this week. But are you going to dive into the Eagles and their communication issues and their body language on the offense? They're having a brilliant year. They got Saquon, A.J. Brown, and the receivers. Are they happy? What's going on under there? Because Sirianni can really get the emotion going with that team on the sidelines. Is this something to keep an eye on, Sam?
Well, definitely the passing game is not functioning the way everything else is. I think to an extent it's not a huge deal because the ground game is so good. Saquon Barkley chasing down the rushing record, the offensive line being incredible, and Jalen Hurts being a big part of that run game as well. It's not like they're just giving Saquon Barkley the ball and riding the run game and nothing else. Jalen Hurts is turning a lot of potential pass plays into run plays with his scrambling. So it's working. They're winning games. But it's definitely an area of the team that isn't firing on all cylinders, whereas most of everything else they have going is working. So, I don't think they're in any kind of real issues yet. But if they can't show up with that pass game when they need it, then it's potentially an issue.
Sam, for the Raiders, since they came to Vegas with Derek Carr, getting away from Derek Carr, Josh McDaniels, Jimmy Garoppolo, Aiden O'Connell, Gardner Minshew, Desmond Ridder might play Monday against Atlanta. Now they have the number one pick overall for now, but strength of schedule can change all of that. Just how important it is to have a guy like Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, Jacoby Myers, to get this quarterback right. They've tried by bringing in veterans. Do you think their only hope next year is they got to go rookie?
Yeah, and I think they've been looking for one for a while. They just haven't. They've been the team that's been left there standing without a quarterback when the musical chair stops. That's been their problem. Now, unless they win multiple games down the stretch when they're not supposed to, they're probably going to be in position to get one of the top two quarterbacks and get their guy, whether it's number one, number two overall. So, that's what they've got to be targeting is a real new direction, finally get the young rookie quarterback they can build around and head in that direction, whether it's Shedeur Sanders, whether it's Cam Ward. If the Raiders don't come out of this draft with one of those two guys, I think it will be a disappointment.
Last game I wanted to get on, the point of the Seahawks now having 2-game lead on the Cardinals as the Niners won, and they're going to try to make a charge here. I feel like Seattle safe to win that division. It's their division to lose. Looking at their schedule, their quality of play, the way they're playing defense, can Geno get them to the finish line?
I think he can. I mean, that's a very good team.
Yeah.
When we looked at their roster coming into the season, it was strong everywhere, with the possible exception being the offensive line. And the offensive line's had some struggles at times this season, but when it's playing well, the Seahawks look great. So I think that's absolutely a team that should win the division, but that's a tough division. Like, everybody has shown games where they can look outstanding. The Cardinals, the Rams, the 49ers, they've all had games where they've had a dud, and they haven't looked like that team either. So I think that division is going to be close all the way to the wire. It's the Check to Mike podcast, one of the best in all of football media. You could get it at the 33rd team. I was on with Rich Gannon today. I interview him every Monday, and he talked about the technology that Mike Tannenbaum has, and you guys want to do cut-ups and film. He was telling me how you could just put in, I want to look at all the Carolina sacks in the second half, one button, and see all that. So when you watch a game with Steve and you're breaking down games the next day and really micromanaging what you want to talk about on the podcast, what's changed in the last couple of years with the technology you use? I think a big development in that whole sphere is, it's all of the player tracking stuff. It's computer vision stuff. It's moving away from kind of slow manual, person created data points and moving to a much faster, more efficient kind of computer and AI assisted way of recording the data. I think that's just going to make everything quicker, faster, and potentially more powerful.
Last one I wanted to ask you on Belichick. He's chasing Don Shula for the most wins all time. He wouldn't give that up because he's going to Canton. He wouldn't give that up to go to North Carolina, even if it was to help his son. You think that could be true?
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. I mean, Belichick's an interesting character because he's clearly, a guy that loves the game, loves the history of the game, loves all those kinds of things. I don't know how much the actual records matter to him as much as just his overall legacy. And I think that is safe. He's going to go down as one of the greatest coaches to ever do it, if not the greatest. I don't know how motivating it is to him to get the actual number, the official, winningest coach of all time versus just coaching football. Like, that's the thing that he loves doing.
Thank you, Sam. We'll check out all the podcasts, all the new content. Talk to you next week.
Anytime. Take it easy.
You got it, Sam Munson, one of the best guests we have every week. He just has every game locked down analytically, podcast. It's a good podcast. One of the things I'm doing here on YouTube, this is a podcast after the show. I was talking to a buddy today, Bobby, you can chime in on this. One of our former guys in radio said, man, I'm loving the show because I can watch it when I want, on his phone, on YouTube, whatever he does, because we're on locally from noon to 2. Right. Okay, I've done every time slot, and some are better than others. It doesn't matter. I've done late night, mornings, afternoons. But what I like about what we're doing now is people want to watch on demand during their time. So if people are having lunch and they only got 20 minutes for us, they can go to our YouTube channel and watch this thing in real time, or they can go to LV Sports Network and listening. That's the biggest change in our career together since the 90s is people can listen on demand.
Well, that not using a sports ticker anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to. You just listen when you want and get the information when you want it. I'm going to go about another 10, 15 minutes on YouTube, and we'll continue to the rest of the show here. Thor in Summerlin, Raider Nation Drinking Club, as he checks in. Thor, that's 9 losses in a row. I don't know how the drinking club's getting through it. What's going on?
JT, we are tempted to change our name to the Raiders Make Us Drink Club or Raider Nation Therapy Club, because honestly, I don't even know what to say at this point, brother. I want to thank you, though, and people like you and Q, people who are real Raider friends that come on and basically you give us therapy. You know what I'm saying? Like, we need therapy. If you see a Raider fan out there, buy him a shot or give him a hug or both or whatever. But it's tough right now, brother. And you know me, I'm positive. I try to stay positive like you. And I'm trying to find as many positive things as I can. It's tough. I mean, we got Brock Bowers. There's a couple little things we could, like, they're starting to run the ball a little. It's just rough though. I want to win games. I really want to win games. if we lose games because we're giving it everything and we're just not good enough, I can deal with that. You know what I'm saying? But I really want to win games. I also understand that we really need a franchise quarterback.
Yep.
So, but I want to win every game. I want to beat Atlanta on Monday night for the homies who are flying in for that game. I want to beat Jacksonville because who wants to lose to Jacksonville and you got to deal with people telling you lost to the Jaguars. And then we got the Derek Carr Saints game. I mean, I want to win that game. And then we got the Chargers, the division game. I want to win all those games. And I don't care if we draft 13 again. Let's get the best player. Or trade up if you can to get the quarterback if you can. But I want to win games. I need Raider Nation to come together positive, man. And JT, again, thank you for the therapy always.
Appreciate you, buddy. You know, we've been friends a long time here. And, you know, Raider Therapist is not on my business card. And I think people need a place to come to when they want to have hope and they want to win and they want to have a good time. I mean, where would all of us be without sports? Where would we be without sports? This weekend, just to share a couple of stories, how my life was dominated by sports. So Thursday, I'm out to dinner. Got a friend in town who was going to see the Eagles. So we went to dinner at Fontainebleau. Went to that Poppy Steak, Bobby, where they come out with this $1,000 steak. We did not order that because now I'm an expert on how to order steak in Vegas. You split steaks. You split them. They're just too big. I don't care where you eat a steak. I share a steak with someone. We cut it up for the table. So Poppy Steak at Fontainebleau, they bring out these $1,000 steaks. And it goes completely dark bottle service. They play Welcome to the Jungle. All these hot chicks come out. It's like bottle service with the steak in a briefcase. They open it up. They brand the steak. So my phone rings. I'm there watching. I go, I got to take this call. It's a good friend of mine. He says, hey, man, I got room for you on the private jet to go to Boise for UNLV. I go, whoa. Well, the only time I ever been on a private jet was to a fight back in the day in Connecticut, Tyson fight. That's been a long time. And got some buddies who like to travel that way. So I flew up, the guest of a bunch of gentlemen. I'll leave them off the air, but they know who they are. And we flew up to Boise and took off, and the jet, it was flowing. You know what I mean? It was flowing. So we landed, the SUV's waiting on the tarmac. I got more winter clothes. So I'm going basically skiing. It's like going to skiing. It's 22 degrees. And we get in the vehicle. We get there. We pull right up next to the stadium. We get out. We all get into our winter gear. I look like a snowman. I had 2 layers on, long johns. I had the double socks, the thick socks, and 3 or 4 layers, a great ski jacket, a scarf, a hat, and anything you can need. So we get out there. Now, a couple of quick things. When you drink a beer under 32 degrees, it freezes. Yeah. So you got to drink it. You can't hold the beer because there's this foam coming out of the beer because it's freezing if you don't drink it. And you don't want to really drink a beer in 22-degree weather, but you need a little bit. So we had a couple beers. We get out of there, 2-minute warning. UNLV loses. They played, I thought they had a really bad game. We can say that. Okay, UNLV did not play well. I was at the game. They did not play well. They didn't play to win. They didn't play fast enough. They didn't play with a sense of urgency. Now, they lost to a better team. Okay, give Boise and Aston Genty credit. So then we left. We got back to the airport barely on time because the fog was coming in. We took off. Boom, we landed. I think we landed at like 10:45. And I'm back home again. And that was sports. I had a memory of a lifetime with the guys I went with. It was unbelievable. Just disappointing that UNLV lost the Mount West Championship.
He takes the snap. Knee hits turf, and that will do it. For the second time in as many years, UNLV falls to Boise State in the Mountain West Championship game, and the floodgates are open. Here comes the students onto the Smurf turf as the clock strikes zeros. 21-7 the final. UNLV avoids being blanked, but are unable to do anything else in a 21-7 final score.
Rebels Radio on the call. So the reason why I don't do a lot of UNLV football on this show is because the city is not behind the team at the level they should be. There are plenty of people who are. Hey, I put on a UNLV cap. I went to the game. I was rooting hard for them. I wanted them to win. But I'm not a good example of this. I didn't go to school there. I'm not as diehard, but I want them to win. So as soon as that game ended, Barry Odom couldn't have got out of Vegas quick enough for Purdue. So obviously, Eric Harper, the athletic director here, would like to keep him. Everybody knew that they were probably going to lose him, and they ended up losing him to a town in West Lafayette, Indiana. Give me a break. Okay, they didn't lose him to the SEC in Arkansas, where he has some passion for that. They didn't lose him to the Big 12, to a bigger team. I understand how big the Big 10 is. I'm very aware of that. You got to be able to, in Las Vegas, be able to compete to keep a coach who's been in back-to-back Mountain West championship teams, the most successful coach in the history of this program. You got to have the money to keep him. We're not talking about $10 million. Okay, we're talking about the difference, and it could add up to $10 million long term, but you should be able to have that money. You should be able to pay for your coach. And because you're in the Mountain West, and I don't think that UNLV football handled it well, I don't think they should be in the Mountain West. I think they should have a better vision. They should be thinking bigger. They should be more proactive than reactive. And UNLV should have found their way into the Big 12. They should have. The ACC on the other side of the country, yeah, of course. Whatever you can do to get into a bigger conference. But now Barry Odom is gone. He did a lot of good things. Nice guy. I didn't know him well. But clearly the program took the next step. I'm sure a lot of the kids are going to go in the portal and find their way to Purdue. For a lifestyle change, I don't think it's better to live in West Lafayette with your family than it is in Summerlin or Henderson. I know that to be true. But for whatever reason, this program here, they need more mainstream interest. They need to have more money. They need their alumni who are fake, the ones who are fake and claim they're alumni, to spend. I'm not an alumni at UNLV. I'll kick in a couple of bucks, but I'm not the guy who's going to throw $500,000 or $1 million in. The people who hang around the program need to find the other people with money who hang around the program to give more. That's how it works in a big-time town like Las Vegas, in a town that plays football at Allegiant Stadium. So I wish Barry Odom well. He couldn't have got out of here quick enough. You could debate why. They're going to tell you that the portal opens Monday. I think that's crap. He got out of there because there was much, much more money for his family. And that's what he did. For UNLV football, they better make a competitive hire here. You're not going to get a coach better than Barry Odom, number one, period. He left for more money. So you're not going to get a better coach than Barry Odom, but you got to get someone who's good and can feed off the intensity and what this program's done with the Fertitta Sports Complex and playing at Allegiant Stadium. Very important. If you have a comment on that, and you know why I don't do a lot of UNLV? Because I'm asking for a comment. I couldn't buy a comment if I was giving away calls for $100 a call. That's why I don't do a lot of UNLV football. But I like UNLV football, and I like them to win. But I don't know. I just don't know what it's going to take in this community to get more money into that football program, find the big dollars that can be sustainable. And there's tiny towns like Oxford, Mississippi, and West Lafayette, Indiana, and tiny outposts in the state of Washington that have more money than UNLV. I don't get it. I never will. I think they need to relook at the entire program. Not on Harp and the other people. I think those guys are good. They deserve to keep their jobs. They just had a great football season. But the issue becomes on where to find the money and where to get the bigger money and get people interested to do it year after year after year and then start filling. And you're not going to sell out Allegiant Stadium, but, man, they had a lot of good momentum this year.
You know, the thing I think is interesting is see where the NIL goes in the next 12 months now that Barry Odom isn't the coach.
Yeah, I would think they're going to have a tougher time getting better players here, but you don't know. They could bring in a young guy or a good coach as a recruiter, have a good recruiting team, and keep the train going. Mike in Jersey. Mike, you're up next. Thanks for waiting.
Hey, JT, what's going on?
Hey, Mike.
Couple of points. First about the Raiders, I'd like to see them get a couple more wins. I'm looking forward to the offseason. To see what's going to happen. But I want to call you about the Yankees. As far as Soto goes, and I'm a big Yankee fan, as soon as I heard it, I'm like, you know what? Plan B. Let's start taking his money and build the players. And a lot of people don't realize it, and this is just my opinion, when Scott Boras is your agent, Scott Boras is not working for you. You're working for Scott Boras. And when I heard $5 million was the difference, I'm like, this sounds like a classic Boras move to tell him to take the higher end money. And as far as, I said this after he rubbed me the wrong way after the World Series comments about everyone's equal. He could have said, I'm not ready to talk about it right now, but he didn't, which was fine. And also, too, I feel the Yankees need to change their identity.
Yeah.
They need to get away from analytics. They need to be, take chances, go with your gut. You can't have starting pitching going 5 innings every time out there. And, that's my thoughts on it. But we'll see what happens.
Good phone call. Appreciate it. You're right about that. I think everything you said is pretty cool. The Yankees should use this opportunity to go in another direction and get better pitching. Garrett Cole doesn't have much time left. Garrett Cole's a really good pitcher. I think he's got another Cy Young left in him. Maybe 2 more years at this level, then there'll be a drop-off. Dominguez, the guys who come out of the farm system for the Yankees are typically pretty good. The Yankees have always been able to keep their farm system. Problem with the Yankees is they like to trade away their young players to go sign free agents who just don't live up to the hype. One thing I will tell you, I don't agree with the Soto contract at all. I think it's outlandish. It's stupid. It's too much, but he was one hell of a Yankee. Man, it's going to be tough to say goodbye to Juan Soto in the Bronx because he put butts in seats and he delivered. We're brought to you by Resorts World, the rodeo. I'm going to the rodeo tomorrow night. Rodeo Central is at Resorts World. Everything that they do there, from their live concerts, their rodeo watch parties, their cowboy Christmas that they have there, everything they do. If you want to be a real cowboy or a cowgirl and have a great time, it's at Resorts World. And it's also the home of our Monday Night Football showcase, which is Monday night tonight. And you get a pretty good game with Cincinnati and Dallas. Both teams are out of it. They're both on life support, but a lot of stars playing in that game. And there's a lot of stars walking around Resorts World. Proud partner of our show, home of the rodeo, and Monday and Thursday night football. That opens up a phone line. I should never have an open phone line. I should never, because I'm here to talk to sports fans for only 2 hours a day. Take advantage of the format. 702-365-9200 is the number. A couple of the positive points of the Raiders yesterday in a season where they've lost 9 in a row. What could be positive? I'll give you a few moments from yesterday.
Previously on Unnecessary Roughness.
Brian Hope joins us.
Thanks, everybody. That was a good hour and 34 minutes. Appreciate y'all. Thank you. Please share the podcast for the live stream so other people can see it. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate everybody being in the chat. Thank you so much.
That's what is really impressive to me, and I'm so excited to see where